24. Let's talk to our international affairs commentator, Doug Herbert, who's joining me here on set. Doug, first of all, just give us the context of this speech and where we are, if you like.
Well, I think you probably know a lot of that context. You probably don't even need me to tell you about it. Look, Stuart, for many Americans, right, Joe Biden has essentially been out of sight, out of mind in those 85-plus days since he left the White House on January 20th, handing over the mantle to Donald Trump in what was a very painful defeat from which the Democrats are still sort of reeling and trying to regain their footing. Look, while he has been out of the mind of many Americans, almost forgotten by many at this point, one person who has not forgotten him is Donald Trump. Donald Trump has gone relentlessly on the attack against his predecessor, Joe Biden. It's an attack that began even before Joe Biden left office. You'll remember during the campaign itself, Trump continually, even after Kamala Harris had stepped up to step into the breach after Biden withdrew. Trump continued to attack Biden as if he was running against Biden. He has slammed him for everything from inflation to the war, Russia's war against Ukraine, to wrecking the economy, you name it. For Donald Trump, Joe Biden has been the source of all original sin, and he has been relentless. Nary a day goes by almost in this Trump administration where Trump doesn't go on the attack against Biden. It's hard to escape the impression that this is something personal and deeply ingrained in Trump's psyche, this rivalry with a man who is no longer president, no longer challenging him. That's the context. And Joe Biden himself, yes, withdrew, amid a lot of mixed feelings. Obviously, we know that he's still blamed by a lot of Democrats for not stepping down soon enough, not giving Kamala Harris enough time to campaign. And Joe Biden also carrying with him this sense that his own achievements in office were not perhaps received as well as they should have been. And perhaps that's part of the Democrats' own messaging fault, that they didn't communicate these achievements well enough, especially where the economy is concerned. Joe Biden constantly reminding people that he left one of the strongest American economies, an American economy he pulled, heaved out of the pandemic, all of that, than he's given credit for. I will just say this. He's kept a low profile before this, Stuart. It's true, this is his most extensive remarks, his highest profile public appearance since leaving. But he did make a couple of other speeches recently. One was before a high school model United Nations in New York. Mm-hmm. He also accepted an award for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. That was in Washington. He's been spotted on the town at an Italian restaurant in Georgetown, at a diner in Delaware. He frequently takes the Amtrak trains between his home in Delaware and Washington, where he still has an office. And he was recently spotted, he and Jill, the former First Lady, his wife, at the opening of Othello on Broadway in New York City. So he has been about. He hasn't just disappeared into the night. But I know there's that impression. I think this was he was waiting for a moment to come out and speak forcefully on an issue that he cares deeply about.
Yeah, he did come back fighting, didn't he? And what was his message?
His message, look, social security is not just any old issue, Stuart. Let's remember the reason that he wanted to really address this issue and protecting social security is that 73 million Americans are enrolled in the program. It is by far the largest retirement benefit program in America for Americans. It also, though, helps survivors. It helps people on disabilities. And remember, the association he was addressing was one that represents people with disabilities of all kinds. And what he and a lot of Americans are scared at what he thinks is happening to Social Security under Trump. Not just thinks, but sees. Now, Donald Trump, let's be fair, he says, I'm not touching Social Security. This is all hyperbole. This is an exaggerated media narrative out to get Trump once again. I'm not touching it. That may technically be true. He's not taking away the benefits, but what he's essentially doing is hacking away at the entire administration that oversees those benefits, an administration in which 7,000 Social Security workers are right now in the crosshairs of Trump's DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, right now slashing that federal workforce and the bureaucracy of which Social Security is such a big part, 12% of the workforce, Stuart. And it's not for nothing. It ends up in office closure. It ends up in people having to wait up to almost 2 hours just to get on the phone with an administrator. Remember, these are older Americans. They're not always internet savvy. They're not always people who can use the online services. They need human contact. They need to speak to people. And they are fearful today that their benefits are going to be cut. And that's a big deal for Americans who rely on them.
You talked about the past, the context. You talked
Yes.
about the now,
Yeah.
the speech. Future now. Democrats, are they getting their mojo back?
Yes and no. Depends on who you ask, right? I know it sounds like I'm sitting on the fence because I am a little bit, Stuart. But look,
Makes
the
a change,
Democrats,
though.
yeah, the Democrats have come under, a lot of criticism in recent months from within their own ranks, right? The Democrats are often sort of like a circular firing squad. Some of their harshest criticism is not coming from Republicans; it comes from within their own ranks. They're open to those types of debates about where they go ahead. They give themselves very, very muscular postmortems, if you will. They've been in denial, a part of the party, that their loss in 2024 wasn't down to anything they did wrong, but basically for not enough people turning out, not enough liberal voters sort of not coming to the polls and voting. We don't really have to change anything. It's the voting turnout. That's changing. A lot of Democrats are also taking the opposite view. Yes, guys, we also have to admit we can sit here and speak about our high ideals and our principles and our attachment to real democracy and all of that, but we also have to deliver to the American people. And the fact, at the end of the day, there's a sense in America, whether you agree or not, that we're not delivering. We talk the talk, but we're not walking the walk. There's a new book out called Abundance in America, written by two prominent Democrats, and they make this argument. We've got to deliver the goods. And yeah, the Democrats in the past few years have failed, or at least in their big cities where they have their big bastions and bulwarks of power, they're not seen as delivering on the services and the ideals that they talk about so much. So yeah, they're regaining their footing. We saw a Democratic victory in that Wisconsin Supreme Court race. We saw recently those nationwide street protests that showed that opposition is still alive and well in America in the face of a threat that many see, in the face of what many see as the gravest threat to American democracy in America's history. And there's a sense they're trying to right now get their mojo back ahead of the 2026 midterms. Social Security is a good leg on which to stand, but they're also going to stand on a general message of striking back against Donald Trump's, quote, chaotic agenda, an agenda that talks about America first and ordinary Americans, but in fact is nothing but callous towards ordinary Americans, favoring the wealthy over the poor. The Democrats trying to get back to basics with a very, very fundamental and sort of bedrock message. They hope it works. 2026 midterms first, 2028 presidential election down the road.
All coming up pretty quickly. Doug,
Yeah.
thanks very much. Doug Herbert, International Affairs commentator on France 24.